A very warm welcome. You're joining us here on a new episode of Melt. I'm Ritvika Gupta, shooting from home. Last week, we spoke about Cadbury Dairy Milk's new TVC, a recreation of the iconic 1993 Cadbury cricket ad. The 2021 version sees a gender reversal where a woman cricketer scores a sixer and her male friend jumps onto the field to dance and celebrate her victory. A week later, the TVC has become the talk of the advertising industry in India and has commanded a lot of chatter on social media. Here's the ad in its entirety once again.
कुछ खास है हम सभी में कुछ बात है हम सभी में बात है खास है कुछ स्वाद है क्या स्वाद है जिंदगी में
Cadbury's Dairy Milk.
On the show today, we'll hear the story of how the idea was born and how it was brought to life as Anant Rangaswami, editor of Melt, will be in conversation with the team that came up with the concept. Let's get ready to melt with Ogilvy India's Tanuja Bhat, Swagata Banerjee and Samyu Murali.
Hello, and rather than introduce everybody, I'll just start with Samyu to begin with. Samyu, tell me, where did this journey begin?
So this started when Swagata and I were brainstorming for a completely different project. And then we had taken a break. And during that break, we just, how in brainstorming, you just think of other things as well, or just toss around other ideas. So we came across this article about the women's cricket team. And that's where we kind of stumbled upon this idea. And then one thing sort of led to another. We made a very quick deck, sent it out to Tanuja with an email that said, we know we owe you a lot of scripts, but in this crazy time, we had this proactive idea. So please look at it whenever you have the time. And she loved it. So that's how it just started from there.
Right. So, Samyu, tell me, you were sitting and brainstorming. Were you there physically with each other, or you were on a Zoom call or something?
No, we were on, I think it was WhatsApp, because we're in different cities right now. So we generally brainstorm through WhatsApp audio.
So, Swagata, tell me, who was reading the paper and who read this article about the women's cricket team?
It was Samyu who shared the article, and that got us talking about, what the representation of women has been and how the, generally women are achieving so much. And that one thing led to another. And that's how we stumbled, and that whole Eureka moment happened for us.
So, back to Samyu. Now, you didn't write a script, obviously. It was just an idea. So, when you say you presented it to Tanuja, how did you present it? It's just one slide saying we will recreate, or what did you say?
We wanted to show with this film, it was more than just recreating a film, right? While we were brainstorming, we started out with cricket, but it kind of led into a sort of deeper context, and it kind of became a bigger idea and kind of became more about signifying how women are in different spheres of life, how women are breaking barriers. And that's what we wanted to show through this film, and that's what we said in our deck when we sent it to Tanuja.
Okay, so Tanuja now. Tanuja, tell me, you've been in advertising a lot more than the other two colleagues on this show. Now, it's not easy to take an idea like this and go up to your seniors and say, here's an idea. So what was your expectation when you received this idea? And what gave you the courage to go up one level and say this will work?
Hi, Anant.
Hi.
So, first of all, thank you, because this is like an unreal moment. I know it's for all of us. So thanks a lot for doing this. I think to answer the question first, and then I'll go back to what I went through when I saw the idea. It's also a lot to do with the way Kenaz Harshad art. I report into them immediately, and they are all about ideas, and they are very open. They are very approachable. And I know that if I get excited about something, I can break that barrier of, oh my God, they are my super bosses and they're so busy. Should I be disturbing them with this or not? I just felt the minute I read the idea, the minute that they made a proper PPT about it, right? That this is happening and we should be doing this and there's not enough representation. And what if we did this? And there were a couple of slides after that. I did not read it. The minute I read, what if we redo this ad with a role reversal? I said, this is great. And I texted both Harshad and Kenaz. And of course, they reverted almost instantly. So for us, it was a very instinctive falling in love with the bigness of the idea. We could immediately see it. And you said it right. I've spent a lot more time than the two girls in the industry. And I know that big ideas that come straight from the heart are very, very rare. And I'm so happy that I was sort of blessed with the ability to spot it and put it forward without trying to give any gyan or trying to tell them, oh, what if we do this and that to it? Nothing. I thought it was the most pristinely perfect idea that had come to me, and I passed it on to, and then of course it went on to become what it has become.
So now I'm going to first ask Samyu, then Swagata the same question. So what happened next? You've now given the idea to Tanuja, and what happened next? So Samyu, if you can answer that first.
So once we sent it to Tanuja, she immediately responded. She loved it. She sent it to Harshit Kenaz, and I think in the same day we heard back from them as well, saying that they were super excited by the idea. That's when we realized that this was actually something that could actually happen and not just stay in our proactive ideas folder. But we were also super excited by that.
Proactive ideas means scam ideas.
Proactive ideas do not mean scam ideas.
Okay, they don't mean. So tell me, Swagata, so what happened next from your lens?
So after we heard from Harshad Kenaz, they told us they will speak to Piyush Pandey, and we were all waiting with our crossed fingers. And I think the very next day we heard that it's a yes from him, and that it would be presented to the client. And after it was, we were told that it's a 40-second ad, right? The approval was less than that. It took less than 40 seconds for the client to approve. So complete Cloud9 moment from there on.
Swagata and Samyu, I'm going to ask you both the same question. First with Swagata this time. Did you think that you would ever get credit for this work?
Of course, I have worked with Harshad Kenaz and Sukesh in a lot of other projects, and they have been the most supportive, have always said encouraging words. And I have never known anyone or never faced that issue of not getting credit. So I don't think I have had a doubt about that.
Okay, and Samyu?
I didn't have a doubt about it. I haven't worked with any of them before. I think if it's an idea that comes from the heart as well, I knew that they would give credit where credit is due.
Now, you've got a response from Harshad and Kenaz and Sukesh and Piyush and whatever saying the idea works. Now, what happened next?
You also said it in the beginning when we were chatting that it takes a village to make an idea come to life, right? And this village called Ogilvy, oh my God, I have only spent a year and a half in this place, and I'm so overwhelmed at how beautifully and with such heart and ownership, I'm telling you, we all became children all over again. We were so excited with the idea. There was absolutely it was literally like, there was no division, there were no designations, there was nothing that came in the way. All we thought of was, okay, who is going to be the best person to do this? How should we do this? How fast can we do it? And this also includes the Mondelez team. I mean, Anil and his people, his team, his core people were so excited. They just gave us the, sort of permission, a free hand, and they were always with us, along with Harshad Kenaz, Sukesh, and of course, they were the ones who were keeping Piyush in the loop. So everything started magically falling in place because we all, as one unit, wanted to see this happen. It was literally like, okay, who's who's going to do this, okay, who is looking into that, and somehow all of us became one force, and here we are.
So, Tanuja, what do you think this will do for Cadbury Dairy Milk?
So I believe that it's one of the most loved brands already. One has to also remember that the years we have been through, last year and this year, we've all been in a certain emotional state. We've been isolated, and chocolate has been one of the things that has also been freely the binding force, or so to say, a mood upper. And I know that I have munched on chocolates for hours on end, and that was the dairy milk, that was silk. I have stocked up on that and had that. I think what we also need to be cognizant of is what this campaign is doing, what the film is doing, is it's making us smile in a year that has been so tough. And as a country, we have responded. It's not just, a lot of times it's the advertising community or the fraternity that we have a mutual admiration or a mutual criticism society, which happens. But here is a piece that has put a lot of people back into a happier place. I think in a way, that is also what the product does, takes you to a happier place. So coming back to the question, yes, I think it will cement Cadbury's place in our hearts. It will remind people who may have moved on or forgotten about using chocolate as something to make them smile again. It is definitely going to bring back. I mean, I have received, Anant, I'm telling you, I've received so many messages from people who have sent me a dairy milk photograph saying, after years, I have bought this little tiny thing because it just reminded me of that, and I want to have that taste again. And nostalgia will definitely translate to more business.
Samyu, you're wearing two hats. You have an Ogilvy hat, and you also have the ICW hat. So was that in the back of your mind when you thought of this idea, you and Swagata?
So with ICW, it's something that I'm very passionate about, trying to break gender stereotypes, especially in media. So the women who are part of ICW are also people who I am forever inspired by. So yes, it definitely played a role.
Right. So Swagata, now Piyush was almost 10 years in the business when he thought of the original ad. You're much younger in the business. So what next for you? What happens from here? To hit such a high level when you're so young is extraordinary. What next for you?
Keep doing good work. I don't think, yes, all this love and affection and all this madness is great. But I think, the kind of industry that we are in, we constantly see so much good work coming in, right? I mean, take Piyush Pandey or Harshad Kenaz or Sukesh. None of them stopped doing great work, right? They did a lot of great work back in their younger days, and they're still doing it. So I think that will stand true for all of us.
Okay. So Tanuja, what next for this team? You got two young geniuses on your side. So what next for them?
First of all, as soon as possible, a big hug. Secondly, I think this is just the beginning. It's probably a cliche, but I genuinely believe we are as good as our last piece of work. And soon enough, we will not know, it'll be a year down. So you have to do more. I genuinely feel that the best inspiration comes from younger minds. And I really look forward to stuff that the youngest person sends to me, because I seriously believe that the younger generation is going to show us the way. I would say, again, this is just the beginning for them. I think they are superstars. They are rock stars. They are going to just, shine. They deserve to shine, and they're going to do that. And I'm going to make sure that they do that.
So thank you, Tanuja. Thank you, Samyu. And thank you, Swagata.
Thank you, Anant. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much.
Now, the new Cadbury Dairy Milk TVC has also brought the conversation about women in advertising back to the forefront of the Indian advertising industry. To understand more, Anant Rangaswami will be in conversation with Indian Creative Women's Binaifer Dulani. Indian Creative Women is an independent forum that promotes diversity in creative teams across the Indian advertising and design industry through actionable solutions. Let's get ready to melt with Binaifer Dulani.
Binaifer, you know the story of the ad, the backstory, which is two young girls thought of this idea, then they went to their senior, who was also a girl, and then there was magic. So, first tell me, what do you think this ad does for women in general?
Historically, with any kind of media that women have consumed, and I'm speaking as a mere viewer and consumer of ads and films, and this is something that I was thinking about as well. We are very comfortable seeing women in the sidelines. We are very comfortable seeing women as cheerleaders. And that is typically the role that women are supposed to play. Even when I see women in my family talk about their accomplishments are usually attributed to someone else's success. So you very rarely see women being very comfortable with an entire ecosystem having to work very hard to help them realize their own dreams. It's usually about me and the role that I played, and see, my kids are successful today and my partner is successful today. And it's all of these sacrifices that I've done. In fact, I got married very recently. I got married about 7 months ago. My mother-in-law is also she's in the defense. She's a doctor in the defense. And I find this quite incredible because she's seen gender bias firsthand, and she's actually risen through the ranks. And she's had to challenge a lot of these gender norms, right, to do that. But when she speaks to me, a lot of times, because she's a very spiritual person, she always tells me, like, we always have this one conflict between us, because on certain days she likes me to wear sindoor, and I say that no, this is a marital sign that's imposed on women. And her entire idea is that women are supposed to be sacrificial and all giving, and that's the role we play in society. And the thing is, I don't think this narrative came from a woman. This media narrative that's been spun, and of course it's part of mainstream communication now, where you call a woman a superhero because she's like the one who stands by her partner, and all her ambitions are supposed to be like channeled through someone else. It's not okay for you to have it on your own. So the best thing that this ad did is, it's a shot by shot recreation for that matter, but just by simply recreating it and changing the gender role, you saw a woman who's out there realizing her own dream and fulfilling her own potential, and you saw her partner who is now working as part of that ecosystem to enable her. And that changed a lot of things, and it normalized that. So that was fantastic.
So, what do you think it will do for women in advertising? Advertising needs young talent always. And the fact that this idea came from a team of 3 women, what does that mean to you?
So I feel in advertising, people get existential really soon and very often, right? You put in really long hours, and you a lot of times put in weekends. And I'm not saying that any of this is okay, but it's just the nature of the job. With things going digital, a lot of times time is not your best friend, because you're reacting to things in real time. And when that happens, it tends to get very existential. Why am I putting these hours, and what is the end impact? I feel one amazing thing that it does for women in advertising is, and men and women in advertising for that matter, is that if I'm passionate about gender discourse and about furthering a progressive narrative, I suddenly have all of these media dollars that are available to me, and I can actually spark conversation. There would have been a bunch of people who would have Googled the ad from the 90s just to see the difference and see the way in which the brand has evolved and how the brand is making a conscious decision. So I feel it's amazing in terms of the future pipeline, because I feel like advertising is not a hot choice amongst young people today. I feel like a lot of us, like my generation of people, drank the Kool-Aid, but I see a lot of younger people, especially the ones who I interact with in colleges and schools, talk about how they expect better work-life balance, how they expect better pay. But the fact that now you have a canvas to make legitimate conversation happen, so that's a great part. The second part of it is you bring your own values to the table. So in fact, one of the creators of this ad is ICW's very own Samyu, and gender and progressive discourse is very, very close to her heart. I've seen her talking about it with so much gusto. So it means that when you come from a very legitimate place, it's a great hiring conversation to have. Like today, if I'm interviewing someone to join my team, I definitely care about what their value system is like and what their philosophy is like. And if someone can talk legitimately about what they consume in terms of gender discourse and ways in which they want to impact that, I feel that would be a great advantage for someone to even sort of get into an agency or an in-house team.
You know, one of the things that struck me certainly was the fact that Samyu, who I know only through ICW before this, she and Swagata were the originators of this ad. Now, do you think subliminally, Samyu's role in ICW has played a role in the creation, the spark of this ad?
Like, I feel ICW is one of the different like enablers. Like within the group itself on ICW, there's a lot of exchange of thought that happens. The moment there's a report around, say, the way Indian advertising and diversity in Indian advertising is fair, it is discussed. And it's not something discussed from the perspective, oh, let's make content out of this and talk about it in the community. Of course, dissemination is a part of it. It would be amazing for us to empower more people with the kind of reports that we read ourselves. But it's one of the different enablers. Like the Bechdel test, right? Do you see enough films where you have named characters that are women? Do they talk to each other? Do they talk to each other with something other than boys? Like, I feel most of the conversations that I have within ICW with Samyu, Sakshi, of course, are inspiration as well, because we talk about these things a great deal. I have similar conversations with my friends where we question gender norms. I have these conversations at home. And all of these different fragments ensure that, one, I don't get trapped into this entire black and white discourse, and you realize that there's shades of gray and there's conditioning and it's the way people see things, and people are not bad if they inherently bad if they have a hard time accepting certain challenging gender roles today. But I feel ICW would be one such enabler of this conversation, because we talk about it so much, and ICW, like Samyu, is like the force behind it, because she brings these things to the table on ICW as the forum as much as she gains from it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap on this episode of Melt. You can follow us on social media. Our handle is Ready to Melt. And stay updated with all that's happening in the world of advertising and marketing with our daily Melt update on our website, readytomelt.com. I shall see you next week, same time, same place. Goodbye.